It's not dead. It's not mindless. It's probably mindfulness taken to the ultimate extreme, in which it's not aware of any thoughts because it's not having any thoughts. It's just mind by itself. You know, if the mind is the instrument that thinks the thought, then transcending is the state of being a mind without a thought. And it's not a mindlessness, it's just quiescence, I think is the appropriate term. Quiescence. Or repose, you know, an absolute state of repose. Because even in the dream state, the dream state is activity. Even in the deep sleep state, there's actually no awareness. That's quite a big difference between no awareness and fully awake. So to have full wakefulness without any thoughts or dreams is the complete opposite of the deep sleep state, in which there's no awareness of anything. But there's no awareness either. So if you can have awareness without awareness of anything, it's not deep sleep. It's samadhi. It's complete opposite of samadhi. It only shares one thing in common, and that's no awareness of anything. But except awareness, though. Oops. Except one thing. Awareness. So it's not aware. Well, no, yeah, it's awareness of awareness, because there's nothing else to be aware of. So it's not awareness of nothing. It's awareness of no thing. Awareness is not a thing, so there you go. So it's not awareness of nothing, it's awareness of no thing. Quite a distinct opposite situation, anyway. And if that can be maintained 24/7 spontaneously with no effort, as an automatic condition, a self-sustaining automatic condition that the individual does nothing to sustain except the prior routine, the daily routine of alternating between that state and activity, back and forth. To accustom the body, because the nervous system is capable of maintaining both simultaneously. So if the nervous system can be brought to complete familiarity with both states, it can integrate both states, and that's the whole point. So that samadhi is integrated into activity, but activity is integrated into samadhi, so that in this state outside of meditation, the state of activity, in which we're aware of stuff, then we maintain samadhi at all times in the midst of activity. And then we go into meditation and we have no activity, but we have samadhi by itself. So we continue to maintain the routine of meditation even though we don't need it anymore. But it continues to refine the nervous system, so it does serve a purpose. And it keeps the body healthy. You know, it always helps to keep the body and the mind near the source. You know, to periodically bring it back to that point, that area. So it's like getting a tune-up, you know. But that's already after the state of eternal samadhi is created, while the person is still alive. So there's nothing wrong with continuing to meditate. It's a good habit to keep up. But that's the purpose. You have to alternate. You can't just avoid one and run to the other. So consequently, there's nothing to be said about householder existence that's any better than the recluse, or that heterosexual is any better than homosexuality. Actually, it's alternation between the two. Alternation. To integrate one into the other so that the awareness is fully endowed of both qualities simultaneously, because it's integrated both qualities into its entire scope of awareness, because each represents a different phase of existence. Socialization represents our existence in creation, reincarnation, you know, repetitive rebirths, while the loner represents the self, who stands within himself, outside of samadhi, in other words, in activity. So it's really the alternation between the two that creates a fully integrated individual, and so there's nothing to be said about either one that's better than the other. And they're all parallel concepts that help exemplify what yoga represents, the act of meditation alternating with activity, alternating with meditation, back and forth. These socialized positions in society or outside of society, exclusive to society, all represent just aspects of yoga, the pursuit of enlightenment in their own way. They exemplify the pursuit of yoga in their own way. And so to say one is better than the other is bogus. But to say that Mother Divine is at the epitome of creation, that's not bogus. That's true, but that's not the goal of life. The goal of life is to transcend even the epitome of creation. Even the epitome. Because that's the term. Transcend means, in its absolute sense, means to transcend everything. And even the path of transcending everything, to get to the self, which is beyond any consideration of qualification or attribute. Other than, it's the self. Not much else you can say. But to call it the void is really, that's taking the point of view of the creationist, so to speak, the person who's, talking about the stratification of society, of nature, of Mother Divine, and all the mysteries beneath Mother Divine, the hierarchy. To call it the void, well, that's something else. No, it's the self. This is the nature of the human. See, other creatures don't get to say this. They will call it the void. Even Mother Divine will call it the void. But the human is capable of experiencing that void as the self. That's the difference. The human is really a very unique creature in all of creation. He's not the epitome, but he's capable of going beyond the epitome to his own self or herself and experience the self by itself alone. That's what makes the human so unique and so highly qualified by comparison to in contrast to all the other creatures in creation. As a human, though, the human nervous system has extreme limitations. But the one thing it's not limited in is multiplexing across the entire scope of creation and even beyond it to the self. So that's a quite distinction that the human nervous system has that no other creature in creation has, not even Mother Divine. I hate to say it. But, as much as we make out Mother Divine to be the most epitomized creature or entity of creation, despite that, the self is even more sublime because it's transcendental to any qualification we could make or any attribute we could make about even the best entity of creation, namely Mother Divine. And the self has no gender, it has no quality, so it's not a question of, do men rule or women rule? Well, women rule, actually. If you're going to talk about qualifications, women rule. But that's as far as it goes. Beyond qualification, nothing rules. No thing rules. And that's the self alone by itself.